The rainy season in Gabon runs from the middle of December to the beginning of May. Almost every day during these months, the sky is heavy with rain clouds and violent storms drench the forest. Not only the forest elephants, but also many other animals emerge from the forest and onto the coastline at the end of the rainy season. The red-rumped pelicans are a typical example. They are extremely large birds, measuring about 1.5 meters long. They live here throughout the year. These robotic-looking creatures are giant sand crabs. They are stuffing themselves with a non-stop stream of organic matter that they filter from the sand. Another animal that migrates to the shore after the rains are over is the red river hog or bush pig. This creature lives not only on leaves and plant roots, but also on small animals such as mice, frogs, and worms. After all the rain, the soil is soft and it is much easier to root about for nourishment. The bush pig has an extremely keen sense of smell that helps it zero in on its food. Like all members of its species, the bush pig is a very clean animal and only wallows in the mud to protect itself from the sun's heat and from insects and lice and other parasites. Just as the forest elephants have evolved as a smaller subspecies of the regular African elephants, so have these forest buffaloes developed on a smaller scale than the regular African buffaloes which roam the savanna. The forest buffaloes, also known as red water buffaloes, usually live deep in the forest. At the end of the rainy season, they make their way to the coast to eat the soft, fresh grass that thrives here. If the bush pig gets rid of insects and lice by rolling in the mud, the forest buffalo has an army of domestic servants to do the job, the aptly named yellow-billed oxpecker. Just like savanna elephants, the savanna buffaloes congregate in huge herds, whereas the forest buffaloes, like the forest elephants, confine their herds to a dozen or so animals. The reason for this is simple. On the savanna, the buffaloes have to band together in large numbers to defend themselves from marauding lions and cheetahs. In the forests of Petit Luango, there is no such danger. Up until the end of the 1800s, the African buffalo was widely distributed south of the Sahara. But during this century, the cattle virus disease called rinderpest spread throughout the herds and almost exterminated them. Gabon is one of their few remaining habitats. In the evening, the buffalo come right down to the very edge of the ocean. It is an idyllic scene that can only be witnessed on the beaches where the rich tropical rainforest meets the coast. At one time, buffalo hunters used to claim that this was one of the most dangerous of all African mammals. Zoologists now recognize that the creature is every bit as peaceful as it looks. The same insects which torment the bush pig and the forest buffalo are also the scourge of the forest elephant. This is one of the reasons that all elephants love to bathe. Their skin is almost without fur and is deeply wrinkled. This makes it easy for insects and other parasites to worm their way inside the folds of the epidermis. Frequent bathing is the only way to ward off disease. The elephant's very large ears are not only for hearing, they also serve as an extensive surface area for losing body heat. Flapping its ears on still, hot days helps the animal cool the blood flowing through a network of veins on its hide. This particular elephant is a female. Judging by the condition of her skin and body shape, she is about 40 years old, a fairly advanced age by elephant standards. Just like the buffalo, the numbers of African elephants have decreased drastically in this century. This is due to a combination of rapid human population growth and uncontrolled ivory hunting. A catastrophic decrease began in the 1970s and 1980s as soaring demand for elephant tusks made poaching as profitable as drug dealing. A continental population estimated at 1.3 million elephants in 1981 fell to 750,000 by 1986. In eastern and central Africa, fully 80% of the elephants were wiped out. This wholesale slaughter convinced conservationists that the only way to save the African elephant was to put a stop to the ivory trade. Most major importing countries joined a moratorium on commerce in ivory. This triggered a dramatic drop in the price of raw ivory in 1990 and a corresponding drop in the killing of elephants. One of the delicacies in the Petit Luango sanctuary that the forest elephants particularly enjoy is the fruit of the Palmyra palm tree. From April to May, following the end of the rainy season, each palm tree yields an average of 100 fruits about the size of an orange. But there is competition for the Palmyra palm fruit. It is also the favorite food of these white-necked mangabey monkeys. The fruit is rich in both sugar and fat. It is covered by a thick husk. At the center of the fruit, there is a hard shell which contains the seeds. At this time of year, these monkeys assemble in troops of 20 to 30 animals in order to harvest the Palmyra palm fruit as efficiently as possible. They are extremely adept at chinning up the palm trees that can be as much as 30 meters tall. There are 4 or 5 different species of mangabeys. Most of them have vivid white markings around their heads and very long tapering tails. Some of the monkeys will eat the fruit while they're still perched up in the tree. Others will carry the fruit down to the ground to consume it there. This particular mangabey appears to be making a quick getaway. We soon see why. A forest elephant is approaching. Even though they are dubbed dwarf or pygmy elephants, these are still the largest animals in the Petit Luango forest and not to be trifled with. The last remaining mangabey in the palm tree makes its escape as fast as it can. The forest elephants take the place of the mangabey monkeys at the foot of the Palmyra palm trees. But they don't go immediately for the Palmyra fruit. Instead, they feast on the galangale, an aromatic sedge that grows in abundance here. The reason they favor the coastal greenery is because of the sea salt that the wind has deposited on the leaves. The savanna elephants have access to the soil of the plains that is rich in minerals, but the rainforest soil is of poorer quality, so this coastal vegetation is the only source of minerals for the forest elephants. Having gorged themselves on galangale, the elephants now turn their attention to the Palmyra palm fruit. Because they have such weak eyes, the forest elephants have to locate the fruit by scent, using the sensitive olfactory organs at the tip of their trunks. The multi-purpose trunk then transforms itself from a nose into an arm and a hand, as it deftly coils up in a snake-like movement to pop the fruit into the elephants' mouths. The monkeys only eat the fleshy outer part of the fruit, spitting out the hard inner core which contains the seeds. But the forest elephants consume the whole thing. Here they are playing a crucial role in the life cycle of a Palmyra palm tree. For this is one of the main ways by which these trees reproduce themselves. This is because the forest elephants do not digest the seeds in the core of the fruit. Instead, they excrete them. In this way, the seeds can grow in ideal conditions, nurtured by their own ready-made manure patch. Since the forest elephants travel 20 or 30 kilometers a day, they can broadcast the Palmyra palm seeds over a much wider area than the trees themselves could ever reach. This is a classic example of the type of symbiosis known as commensalism, an independent and mutually beneficial relationship. In this case, between animal and vegetable. The tree feeds the elephant, and the elephant propagates the seeds of the tree.